There is a moment in every researcher's life that they chase for decades, a moment so rare and so profound that it makes up for every failed experiment, every rejected grant application, and every sleepless night staring at a microscope. It is the moment when the data shifts from being just numbers on a screen to something that looks like hope. For a team of scientists in Singapore, that moment happened not in a gleaming hospital ward, not in a high-tech operating theater, but in a laboratory where they were doing something that sounds almost impossibly simple. They were watching cancer cells die. And the weapon they were using to kill those cells did not come from a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical pipeline. It came from the earth. It came from a vegetable. Today, we are going to talk about a discovery that changes how we view the relationship between food and disease. We are going to talk about cruciferous vegetables, specifically kale and broccoli, and how a compound hidden inside them is now being hailed as a potential game changer in the fight against one of the deadliest cancers on the planet. This is not a fad diet trend. This is not a wellness influencer telling you to drink green juice. This is hard science, published in one of the world's most respected journals, and it involves the dismantling of a cancer cell's deepest, darkest secrets. To understand why this discovery matters, we have to first understand the enemy. Lung cancer is not a single disease. It is a category of horrors, and one of the most common and aggressive forms is called non-small cell lung cancer. Within that category, there is a specific villain known as the epidermal growth factor receptor mutation, or EGFR for short. Think of EGFR as the engine of a car. In a normal cell, that engine runs at a safe speed, telling the cell when to divide and when to stop. But in certain lung cancers, that engine gets stuck. It runs red hot, all the time. It tells the cell to divide and never stop. It is a mutation that is particularly prevalent in certain populations. In Southeast Asia, for example, up to 60% of lung cancer patients who have never smoked a day in their lives have this exact mutation. These are people who did everything right, who avoided the cigarettes, who exercised, who tried to live clean, and yet their own genes turned against them. For a long time, we had an answer for this. Scientists developed brilliant drugs called tyrosine kinase inhibitors, drugs that targeted that stuck engine directly. They were miracles. They shrank tumors. They gave people time. They gave people hope. But cancer, as we are learning, is a living thing, and living things fight back. The cancer cells learned to build a shield. They learned to become resistant to the drugs. The engine was still stuck, but now it was locked inside a vault that the medicine could not open. Patients would relapse. The tumors would grow back, stronger and angrier than before. And we were left standing outside that vault, knowing the problem, knowing we had the key, but unable to get the key into the lock. This is where the story gets fascinating. This is where we fly to Singapore and walk into the laboratory of Professor Hong Wanjin and his team at the Agency for Science, Technology and Research, an institute known simply as the ****. Professor Hong and his colleagues, including Dr. Gandhi Bhupthi and a dedicated PhD student named Yafei Du, decided they were not going to accept this dead end. They decided to stop looking at the cancer cell and start looking at the space around it. They decided to investigate the scaffolding, the environment, the support system that the cancer was using to build its vault. For 5 years, this team screened genes. Over 21,000 human genes were analyzed to find out exactly what the cancer was using to protect itself. And what they found was a mechanism so elegant, so devious, that it reads like something out of a spy novel. They discovered that the cancer cells were flooding the area with a massive amount of a molecule called ATP. Now, most of us know ATP as energy. It is the fuel that powers every heartbeat, every thought, every breath you take. It is the currency of life. But in the hands of a cancer cell, ATP becomes a weapon. The cancer cells release this ATP into the space around them, and it acts like a finger pressing a doorbell. That doorbell is a receptor on the cell surface called P2Y2. When that doorbell rings, the cell sends a signal deep into its core, waking up a protein called integrin beta-1. This integrin protein then rushes to the surface and physically surrounds the mutant EGFR, the stuck engine, wrapping it in a protective cocoon. It is a bodyguard. It is a security system. And it is precisely this security system that keeps the cancer drugs out. The team at ** had done something that no one had done before. They had turned on the lights in the dark room. They could see the guards. They could see the vault. And now, they needed to find a way to break in. They began searching for compounds that might interfere with this process, that might cut the communication line between the ATP doorbell and the integrin bodyguards. They tested synthetic molecules. They tested existing drugs. And then, they tested something else. They tested a natural compound called camphorol. Camphorol is a flavonoid, a type of antioxidant, and it is found in abundance in certain foods. It is in apples. It is in grapes. It is in tomatoes. It is in tea. But its richest sources are the cruciferous vegetables, the green giants of the produce aisle. Kale. Broccoli. Brussels sprouts. Cabbage. When the scientists applied camphorol to the drug-resistant cancer cells in the lab, something remarkable happened. The bodyguards fell. The integrin beta-1 protein could no longer hold its protective shape. The vault cracked open. And suddenly, the cancer cell's own machinery, the very thing that was driving its growth, was exposed. Without the bodyguards, the mutant EGFR was vulnerable to the cell's natural recycling processes. It was broken down and cleared away. The cancer cell, stripped of its defenses, began to shrink and die. This was not a theory. This was not a hope. This was data. In tumor models, after 24 days of treatment with camphorol, the size of drug-resistant lung tumors was significantly reduced. Let me say that again because it is easy to let the scientific language wash over us. A compound found in broccoli and kale was able to enter a cancer cell that had stopped responding to modern medicine and dismantle it from the inside. The cancer's defense mechanisms were broken down, and the cell was left defenseless. Professor Hong described it as targeting the scaffolding that keeps the mutation stable. He explained that by knocking out the P2Y2 system, they were not just attacking the cancer, they were attacking the cancer's ability to protect itself. This is a completely different approach to treatment. It is not about blasting the tumor with more and more poison until the patient can barely tolerate it. It is about outsmarting the tumor. It is about using a subtle compound to cut the ropes, to remove the shields, and then letting the body's own systems and existing medications do the rest. Now, I need to take a breath here and address something that is absolutely critical. When we talk about food and cancer, we have to be incredibly careful. There are people in this world who will tell you that you can cure cancer with a smoothie. There are people who will tell you to abandon your chemotherapy and drink celery juice instead. These people are dangerous. They peddle false hope that costs lives. This discovery is not a cure. It is not a replacement for medical treatment. If you or someone you love is fighting cancer right now, please, stay with your doctors. Follow their advice. Take your medication. What this discovery is a map. It is a guide. It is a revelation about the molecular mechanics of disease and how the natural world interacts with those mechanics. It tells us that the compounds in our food are not just filler. They are not just fiber and vitamins. They are bioactive molecules that can speak the language of our cells. They can influence the signaling pathways that determine whether we get sick or stay well. They can, as we have seen here, interfere with the very mechanisms that make cancer so hard to kill. This is the future of medicine. It is not a future where we abandon science in favor of nature. It is a future where we use science to understand nature, and then we combine the two. We take the precision of modern drugs and we enhance them with the wisdom of the plant kingdom. We use camphorol to break down the shields, and then we let the tyrosine kinase inhibitors do their job. It is a partnership. It is a tag team. And it is happening right now in laboratories around the world. Think about what this means for prevention. If camphorol can dismantle the defenses of an established cancer cell, what might it be doing in a healthy body? What might it be doing when we eat kale and broccoli regularly, before any cancer ever appears? We know that cancer is a process. It takes years, sometimes decades, for a single mutated cell to grow into a detectable tumor. During that time, that cell is trying to establish itself. It is trying to build its defenses. It is trying to recruit its bodyguards. If we are consuming compounds like camphorol consistently, we might be disrupting that process from the very beginning. We might be making our bodies inhospitable to cancer before it ever gets a foothold. This is not a guarantee. There are no guarantees in biology. But it is a strategy. It is a way of stacking the odds in our favor. And this is not just about lung cancer. The P2Y2 receptor and the integrin beta-1 protein are not unique to lung cells. They are found throughout the body. They are part of how cells interact with their environment. This means that the mechanism discovered by the Singapore team could have implications for other types of cancer as well, for other diseases where drug resistance is a problem. They have opened a door, and behind that door is a whole new field of research. They have given scientists around the world a new target, a new way of thinking about how we fight disease. The story of this discovery is also a story about dedication. Yu Fei Du, the PhD student, spent 5 years on this project. 5 years of her life, of her youth, dedicated to screening genes and running experiments. There were probably days when nothing worked. Days when the data was confusing. Days when she wondered if she was wasting her time. But she kept going. And because she kept going, we now know something we did not know before. We know that the humble broccoli floret, the kale leaf that so many of us push to the side of our plates, contains a molecule that can take on one of the most aggressive cancers and win a battle. That is the power of persistence. That is the power of science. So, where does this leave us? It leaves us in the grocery store. It leaves us in the kitchen. It leaves us with a choice. Every time we go to the market, we are voting with our dollars. We are deciding what kind of chemistry we want to put into our bodies. We can buy processed foods, foods stripped of their complexity, foods that are designed to be convenient but are often empty of the molecules that protect us. Or we can buy kale. We can buy broccoli. We can buy the things that grow in the ground and absorb the sun and pack themselves with flavonoids and antioxidants and compounds like camphorol. This is not about being perfect. This is not about never eating a slice of pizza again. This is about understanding that food is information. It is data that your cells read every single day. When you eat broccoli, you are not just chewing a plant. You are introducing camphorol into your bloodstream. You are sending that molecule out to patrol your tissues. You are giving your body another tool to use in the endless war against cellular error. And when you do that consistently, over months and years, you are building an army. The scientists in Singapore have given us a gift. They have given us a reason to believe that the choices we make matter. They have validated the intuition that so many of us have had, the feeling that eating whole, plant-based foods is somehow right. And they have backed it up with data, with peer-reviewed research, with the full weight of the scientific method. This is the kind of story that I started this channel to tell. I am not a doctor. I am not a researcher. I am a storyteller. And I believe that the most important stories being told right now are the ones coming out of laboratories like the asterisk star. These are the stories that can save lives. These are the stories that can change the world. But they are often hidden behind paywalls and academic jargon. They are locked away in journals that most people will never read. My job, my passion, is to break down those walls. It is to translate that jargon. It is to bring these discoveries to you in a way that you can understand and use. And that is why I am asking you to subscribe to this channel. I am asking you to hit that button not because I want a number to go up, but because I want to build a community. I want to create a space where people care about the science of health, where we can learn together and grow together. The algorithm does not care about your health. It does not care about the fact that you just learned something that could help your mother or your father or your spouse. The algorithm cares about views and watch time. The only way to make sure that these stories keep getting told is to build a community that demands them. When you subscribe, you are telling YouTube that this content matters. You are telling them that you want more science, more research, more discoveries. You are helping to amplify these messages so that they reach the people who need them most. There is someone out there right now, someone recently diagnosed with lung cancer, who needs to hear this story. They need to know that there is hope on the horizon. They need to know that scientists are fighting for them. By subscribing, by sharing this video, you become part of that fight. You become a messenger of hope. I also want you to hit the notification bell. That little bell is the difference between seeing a video and missing it. YouTube is crowded. There is so much noise. If you want to cut through that noise, if you want to make sure that you are here for the next breakthrough, for the next story of hope, then you need to ring that bell. It takes 1 second, and it guarantees that we stay connected. In the coming weeks, we are going to dive deeper into the world of flavonoids. We are going to look at other compounds in other foods that are surprising scientists. We are going to talk about the gut microbiome and how it interacts with these compounds. We are going to explore the link between inflammation and chronic disease. This channel is going to be your source for the information that matters, the information that can change your life. But none of that happens if you are not here. None of that happens if you watch this video and then scroll away and forget about it. I need you to take action. I need you to commit to this journey with me. So, right now, if you have not already done so, please look down at your screen. Find the subscribe button. It is usually red or white. Click it. And then click the bell. Join this community. Be part of the movement to understand our bodies and the world around us. We have just witnessed a discovery that proves nature and science are not enemies. They are partners. The kale in your refrigerator and the brilliant minds in Singapore are on the same team. They are fighting the same fight. And now, you are on that team too. Every time you eat broccoli, you are participating in this story. Every time you share this video, you are spreading the word. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being curious. I will see you in the next video. And remember, the next time you walk past the kale in the grocery store, do not just see a vegetable. See a bodyguard killer. See a shield breaker. See hope. Subscribe now, and let us continue this journey together.